All right, guys, for this assignment, I want you guys to go to a website and you're going to do a little bit of data research for a specific country. So when you get onto the homework assignment on Buzz, it'll give you a link to this website that you're looking at right here, and immediately what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to choose a country. So it doesn't matter what country you pick. I mean, there's like every country in the world that's listed on here. Um, I do want to be a little bit careful. Don't pick a country. I know there's one I had earlier. Here, I'm going to pick Egypt just as an example. Make sure you have a couple of things selected. Demographic overview. Make sure you have 2020 selected, uh, and just make sure where it says show both individual and aggregated data. Make sure you have that checked. But that should all be defaulted for you, so don't worry about it. Anyway, so I'm going to pick Egypt. Um, Come on, and up should pop a data table. Now, the reason why Egypt is a bad country to pick is you'll notice, even though we're kind of we kind of want to look at the 2020 data, I don't want you to have a country where there's a bunch of non-available data. So Egypt is kind of a bad one to choose. I just wanted to show you what that looked like because there's so many countries to pick. Just make sure you pick one where the entire table is filled up with data. So, like, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to pick Afghanistan here. So Afghanistan here, you can see we've got a full table full of data, and it kind of goes in these like, different increments. There's 1995 data, there's 2005 data, 2015, 2020, 2025, whatever. But as long as the table is filled with numbers, then you're good. Okay, most of the countries should be fine. Feel free to pick a country that's a little bit exotic if you want to. If you want to pick like the US, I guess you can do that too, but pick any country you want to. So anyway, once you get to this data table, this is where you're going to be answering most of the questions in this assignment. um, and again, we're going to kind of be focusing on 2020. So you'll notice that it kind of gives you a whole bunch of things here. It gives you the mid-year population. So that's in thousands. So for example, if you want to know like the actual population of Afghanistan in 2020, you have to take this number, 36,644, and then multiply it by 1,000. All right. So this is not how many people that live in Afghanistan. It's that number times 1,000. All right. So keep that in mind. The growth rate of the country. All right. It kind of gives you these numbers as well. Again, now that's as a percentage. If you don't understand what growth rate means, you can click on the term and it'll tell you what growth rate means. So for each one of these um, statistics, it tells you, it'll give you a link to like what they're defined as. So if you don't know what, let's say, total fertility means, or you don't know what crude birth rate means, that you can click on that link and it'll kind of explain to you what those terms mean. But I think what's interesting about doing this assignment is you get to look at an individual country's data. This is from the US Census Bureau, so this is actually pretty accurate stuff. And not only can you like see, for example, like let's say a total fertility rate. In 2020, you know, the total fertility rate for women that live in Afghanistan was 4.8 children. So if you're a woman living in Afghanistan, you can expect to have about 4.8 kids in your lifetime, right? But what's interesting about it is if you look at the trend, notice how back in 1995, the TFR was 8, and it's kind of been trending downwards. So, we talked about um, uh, developed versus developing countries the other day. And one of the keys to like getting a country, kind of moving into more of the developed world is to kind of reduce that TFR, like getting women in those countries to have less and less children. I'm not saying 4.8 is like a super low TFR, but compared to where they were, 25 years ago, I guess that's kind of a success rate, right? So have some fun with this assignment. I think it's kind of an interesting one to kind of sort through data and kind of look to see, how the data in one country has changed, over the years. Even gets down to things like migration. The migration rate. If the migration rate is zero, right? That means that immigrants and emigrants are about the same, right? But you'll notice that in 2015 it was -2. Now that's per thousand people in the population, obviously. But before that, it was 9, so it was a positive. So, I mean, that migration rate has fluctuated in Afghanistan over the years as well. And there's reasons why that occurred. So, maybe think about some of those things as you're kind of going through this. Feel free to kind of pick through this database, look at some different countries if you want to. But again, this is a country specific assignment. All right, guys, have fun with this. I'll see you later. Take care.